coming from the border are millions and millions of people that happen to be taking black jobs. You had the best.
What exactly is a black job, sir?
A black job is anybody that has a job. That's what it is. Anybody that has a job.
All right.
And
Mr.
they're taking the employment away from black people.
That was the former president of the United States, the National Association of Black Journalists, in the last hour, I should say, fielding some questions. We're also getting a reaction on Truth Social from the former president as well, who believes, by the way, in those 34 minutes, he crushed it, saying the questions were rude and nasty, often in the form of a statement, but we, he says, crushed it. Want to bring in now Democratic New Mexico Senator Martin Heinrich to talk more about this and much more, along with his crucial race in his state. Thanks so much for joining us, sir. Appreciate it. If you will, give me your reaction to what we heard from the former president.
The former president showed his true colors. I mean, this is who he is. And he, I don't think anybody who lived through the previous 4 years when he was president should be surprised by this kind of behavior now. But I don't think he endeared himself with black voters.
While I have you, I want to pivot to a couple of different things, because I know we have a lot going on right now, because amidst what was happening at NABJ, we were also reacting to what was happening overseas in the ongoing conflict between Israel and Gaza. You have the targeted assassination overseas of a top Hamas leader in Iran. You have the bombing and killing of children on Saturday in northern Israel. You have the killing of a Hezbollah leader in the suburbs of Beirut as well. One of the issues for the Biden camp before he stepped aside was his stance on Israel and his continued support of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. How does Kamala Harris, now at the top of the ticket, distinguish herself from President Biden and his policies, along with those still riding the line and supporting the president as his vice president?
Well, I think the empathy that she has shown for civilians who bear no responsibility in any of this is incredibly important and a good first step. But I think the most valuable thing we can do here, and it's not a political thing, it's just what is right to do, is to secure that ceasefire. And unfortunately, these latest two attacks on the leader in Hezbollah, the political leader in Hamas, that makes it harder to accomplish a ceasefire. And that's what we should be focused on, is getting those hostages released, making it safe for those civilians again. That should be our North Star in all of this.
So we also want to talk about your race. You have got a tough race ahead of you. And I know you were one of the first senators to come out asking for President Biden to step aside at the top of the ticket. You got what you wanted. Kamala Harris now potentially at the top of that ticket. How is that going to affect your down ballot race?
I think there's been a shift in enthusiasm. I mean, these are two people who represent the same policies, but who project in different ways. And the shift in enthusiasm on the ground that I've witnessed in New Mexico in the last week plus has been nothing short of remarkable. And I'm hearing it from many of my colleagues. This feels like 2008 all over again. There is so much excitement on the ground, and it is starting to translate into numbers in the polls.
Politico is reporting that your state is now a toss-up. Do you think that?
I think it may have been a toss-up a few weeks ago. It is not a toss-up today.
Senator Martin Heinrich, thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you.